Well, here we are, and one storm departed, another one starts to take shape, and the first flash flood watches are up from Arkansas to Mississippi, northeastward up into the Appalachians, and we're likely to see winter weather advisories and maybe even some winter storm watches go up for parts of New England before too long. A winter storm is going on throughout much of the West, with big rains in coastal California and points north. We, of course, will be looking forward to the weekend, and we'll look at the long range for next week. All of that and so much more on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And being that tomorrow is Valentine's Day, you can do something that would just flutter our hearts here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, and that is you would do your Amazon shopping via our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board or on the descriptor to this podcast. It's very easy. It doesn't cost you a dime. Just use the referral link, do your search, shop for whatever it is you're going to shop for, buy it, and Amazon throws us back a little bit of their coin in order to support our show, and it doesn't cost you an extra penny. So we appreciate and thank very much those of you who have used our Amazon referral link to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Anyway, we're here. I just finished a wonderful hour plus with the New Jersey Weather Observers, which unfortunately I could not record and upload it because I'm when we do these and we're on Zoom, I'm producing it from my end, and Joe knows how to share his stuff and do all that. I don't. I do things differently. So since I was the guest, I couldn't work the mechanics of the broadcast and do all the things I got to do with Zoom and sharing at the same time. So unfortunately, we couldn't record the show, but it was
Did
fun.
they record it?
I don't know if they did. I'm guessing they didn't.
That's interesting. You know, most libraries they record the show and then put it up on YouTube or on their website. But you know,
Right. A spokesman for Tom Contino says that he's furious that I didn't record the show.
hey Tom, that's the
Oh,
way. The,
he said Dave has the recording. All right. Well, you know what? I didn't record it, and I don't want to use somebody else's recording and put it up on my YouTube channel. So next time I'll try to figure it out. Anyway, oh, so uh, we've got one system departs, another one right on their doorstep, and I'm thinking there could be at least a few inches of snow out of this, especially north of New York City and in the Hudson Valley in Connecticut when this gets underway on Saturday. What do you
I
think,
agree with
Mr.
you.
Ray?
I agree. I think it's going to get going on Saturday, anytime between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. And before we go any further, at 11 a.m. on Saturday, we're going to do a show, right? Is
That's
that
correct. We will do a show. We're going to do a show Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. So mark that down, folks. Yeah,
so?
I think I think we have about a six. I think there's about a 6 or 7 hour window that the moisture seems to be coming in when there's still a decent amount of cold air. So I was thinking maybe a 6 hour window where you could wind up putting down a few inches before it goes over to rain. So that would probably say if it starts off, say if it starts off at between, you said between 11 and 2. So split the difference and just say, okay, it starts at 1. It probably gives you to about 6 or 7 o'clock. Of course, before it changes. And of course, further north, maybe it takes an extra hour after that, where the amounts
I
could be a
think
little
we're
higher.
yeah. I was thinking, for the lower Hudson Valley now, and it's a rather large piece of real estate, and there's a big difference between what you may see in Mamaroneck down by the Sound Shore versus what you may get in Port Jervis, which is all the way up near the boundary line or boundary lines for New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York State. But I'm thinking, generally speaking, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the start time, and sometime around, oh, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 o'clock, especially in southern areas, it's going to start mixing with some sleet or ice. Maybe it'll take a bit longer further inland. And then around midnight, sleet and ice will begin to change over to just plain old rain. And I think that a lot of people, when they wake up on Sunday morning, will be waking up to rain, and that's going to be the story for Sunday is rain. Now, the big thing about this is that I agree with Joe. I think we're going to have a few inches, 2, 3, maybe even 4 inches of snow will fall before the transition takes place. But you really have to do something and get rid of it as quickly as you can because you're going to have first a bit of ice on top of that, but then the rain on Sunday. And as I said yesterday, when you get that much snow, if you get 3 or 4 inches of snow, believe me, folks, it's not going to get, quote, washed away by the rain. You can have a lot of rain, and what's going to happen is the rain is going to fall on top of that snow, soak it up, slush it up. So you really have to figure out a way to get rid of it, either during the nighttime hours of or evening hours of Saturday, or during the day on Sunday, because after we get past Sunday, guess what? It's going to turn sharply colder. I think when temperatures will get up, climb through the 30s to near 40 on Sunday, and then drop right back into the 20s for highs from Monday, Tuesday. So if you don't do anything to that whatever is out there, snow, sleet, slush, or whatever on Sunday, it's going to turn rock solid and stay there for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week.
What about a thunderstorm Sunday morning when the front goes by?
I did check SPC to see what they said, and they seem to be interested more in the Carolinas and points south for thundery weather, but maybe severe thundery weather. I would not be surprised if we did get a rumble or two of thunder. I did look on the FGen, Joe, to see if there was any kind of significant omega, and really there isn't with this
Okay.
with this particular system. So I don't know. We may just get spurts of heavy rain and nothing more than that, or there might be enough lift as the front moves in with the colder air to set off a shower or thunderstorm on Sunday. We'll see.
All right, and in the long range, there's still there's still real clarity yet on how next week's going to play out. So we'll hold off on that till let's roll through what we're dealing with now. By the way, welcome to everybody on the chat board, and welcome to those of you who are not on the chat board but might like to be. You can do that by just subscribing to my YouTube channel and the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. We're on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. and we're adding a show this Saturday morning at 11 a.m. to cover the snow for Saturday. If you like the show tonight, hit the like button because we love it when you get over 100 likes. And, you know, we get a lot of people watching. Maybe we can get over 200 likes. All right, shall we get underway? I think we shall. I got to bring up a map that I accidentally deleted, but here we go. I got it. Let me move this over and we can get going on tonight's Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. It's all about branding, Joe. Here's the national watches and warnings across the U.S. And you mentioned, SPC and severe weather. There's going to be a regional severe weather outbreak on Saturday across the Gulf states, and that includes me because of that wicked thunderstorm I had last night, which was beyond belief. I could do without. We've got flood watches already up for the Central Appalachians. Remember, some of this area got half a foot of snow or more the other day. West Virginia, all of the state of Kentucky under a flash flood watch, most of the state of Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northeastern and central Arkansas, and I'm sure there will be additional flood watches that will go up before it's all said and done. We've got some wind advisories up for southeastern and south central Pennsylvania down into Maryland. Also, some wind advisories up in New England. The last of a winter storm warning in northeast Maine or northern Maine. Lake effect snow advisories in north central New York. Regular old winter weather advisories in southwestern New York. And much of the state of Wisconsin is under a winter weather advisory. Meanwhile, out in the west, a plethora of winter storm warnings. A plethora, Joe.
Yes.
Um, it almost sounds like a cholera epidemic. A plethora of warnings in western Colorado, central Utah, up and down from north to south, southern Idaho, western Wyoming, eastern parts of Oregon, the Sierra Nevadas, the mountains in northwest California. We've also have various flood watches and flood advisories along the coast of California from San Diego to San Francisco. And if it's not a winter storm warning in those areas, it's winter weather advisories that are up. And the West, which back in January was as silent as it could be, is now seeing weather system after weather system coming in. And of course, that is playing a role in what's happening here in the East. We saw last night's weather system depart. Didn't really do too much as far as snow and ice on the front end, and even the rain that came on the after the changeover. Joe, was fairly underwhelming, I thought.
It's it is what it is, I guess. What amazing to me is that out west in California, here was a spot that was so very dry. I mean, of course, we saw all the fires that broke out just what a month or two ago, and
Right.
now all of a sudden they're back in the usual wintertime pattern. I mean, I remember during the spell of when the fires were breaking out. Oh, we only had 1 inch of rain since last May, and what happened? Well, maybe it's global warming. Now we're not going to see any more rain for a long time or whatever. But now all of a sudden, here comes the rain. Here's the atmospheric rivers. They're going to get, in some cases, parts of Southern California, 2 to 4 inches of rain, which is more rain that they saw in the previous like 8 or 9 months. And of course, they're talking about the usual suspects, Malibu with the potential for mudslides and whatever. Why would anybody want to live in California? I ask that question. If it is not, if it's not extreme drought and wildfires, it's extreme wetness, it's extreme flooding, it's extreme mudslides, and of
It's
course,
the ex,
let's throw
it's
in the
also the
occasional
ex, it's
earthquake.
also the extreme state income tax of 9%.
Yeah,
Well, we won't go there. Anyway, I was just setting up a snowfall forecast, the digital forecast from the Weather Service out west, and if this is for the next 72 hours, you're looking at big amounts up and down the Cascades, and particularly in the Sierra Nevadas. There's a lot of there's some yellows in there, which is like 36 inches or more. Actually, it's 48 inches or more. It's like they changed the scale on this map. All right, why that came up is beyond me. I just wanted to get a little tighter. You can see there's some pockets. Now, we're a couple of days into this now, so they've already gotten a fair amount. Meanwhile, you also see the big amounts that show up in western Colorado, in that area in central Utah, on up into Wyoming and Idaho. So very, very busy there. Meanwhile, as we go to the east, the Great Lakes, which they really have not gotten a whole lot of snow this winter, looking like a 6 to 8 inch snowfall across Wisconsin and Michigan, around the lakefront of Ohio and into northwest PA and south and western New York. We're looking at up to a foot there and a foot to a foot and a half as you go on the lee shores of Lake Ontario, particularly in north central New York. Downstate and further south, you can see far less, obviously. Northern New England, anywhere from 8 to 12 there over the next 72 hours. That carries us, by the way, through 7 p.m. Sunday, so it does cover the entirety of the weekend storm. The radar tonight, pretty quiet in the coastal plain. We've got areas of snow showers in upstate New York and in western PA. Also, some the last of the snow going through northern Maine. Some showers in South Florida and a couple of thunderstorms there. And then you can see the busy radars out in the west, particularly down near San Diego, Joe. There's a You don't see this too often. There's two severe thunderstorm warning boxes there, and the flash flood watch warnings you see, but you don't often see severe thunderstorm warnings there. But here you go with this big patch of moisture that's moving in between Los Angeles and San Diego.
well, that's just another example of one of these atmospheric rivers, which were apparently absent for a number of months, that all of a sudden has started making a comeback. And now that we're into the second half of winter, we probably are going to see more of that out there. And maybe an attempt to replenish. Of course, it's so sad now. All of the rain, the much needed rain, now falling on basically 80 or 90,000 homes that were burned to the ground and scorched earth, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't know what you can say or do about that, but at least here the pattern has once again resumed its normalcy as to what you would expect in the middle and latter part of February.
Radars are busy with snow further north. You see it in Utah, you see it in Idaho, you see it in parts of Oregon and into Washington State and back up into western Montana and Wyoming and even into western Colorado. Now, as far as severe weather is concerned, the Storm Prediction Center tonight, nothing of some, no, they actually do have a marginal risk that they have stuck in to Southern California. Little small area there, a little curl which we just saw on the radar. Now, nothing tomorrow as far as severe weather is concerned, but we do see the nose that comes out, or the finger that actually looks like a finger coming out of the western Gulf of Mexico and pushing up into, or the Gulf of America, because apparently, somebody rattled that we said Gulf of Mexico, whatever it is. It's a Gulf, it's water. Who cares? Anyway, moisture that streams up from there, and general thunderstorm activity for tomorrow into Saturday into Kentucky and Tennessee. And then during the day actually late in the day, Saturday and Saturday night, SPC has already, and they had this in their long range yesterday, which we highlighted. They kept it there today. Enhanced risk across much of Louisiana and Mississippi into western Alabama, and a slight risk pushing into northern Georgia and eastern Tennessee. They don't have the tornado risk forecast up, but I guarantee you there's going to be a 10% hatched area there, which means 10% tornado risk and EF2 or higher tornado risk in that enhanced zone for Saturday. This is all feeding into this storm that's going to be developing here for the east over the weekend.
And again, it looks like, as we have seen, transitional snow, yes, but then a changeover to sleet, ice, and eventually plain rain. This go around, however, the rain on Sunday could be greater or more prolific than what we've seen for the last two storms. I mean, when I woke up this morning, there wasn't anything really aside from maybe some light drizzle and a temperature of 34 degrees. But Sunday could be a different story. Sunday we could be seeing spurts of moderate to even heavy rain, again falling on top of whatever has fallen winter-wise from late Saturday into Saturday evening.
Yeah, and the enhanced risk means there's a 30% chance for severe thunderstorms anywhere within 25 miles of any point inside the indicated zone. WPC, inch and a half to 2 inches of precip over the next week, taking us through next Thursday. Big rainfall amounts in the Tennessee Valley and in the lower Ohio Valley. And some of this could be the snow, maybe. We'll see. But you can see here, they've got that little uh, yellowish, you want to call it. That's 5 to 7 inches from north central Tennessee into south central Kentucky. Along the Gulf Coast, we're looking at an inch and a half to some 2.5 inch amounts. Also down into the Mid Atlantic, and in the West, it's calmed down a bit, but still another half to 3/4 of an inch of rain in Southern California over the next 7 days, and several inches of melted precip in the Sierra Nevadas and in the Cascades, which we, of course, know is going to be all snow. So here's what we got the GFS up here tonight. And, of course, our system is long gone that came through yesterday and last night. We've got a nice cold high building in. Now we've got all this western energy coming eastward, and you can see all the precip there, the snow in the Rockies, low pressure coming out, moving up, moving down into Arkansas. There's this sort of weird looking warm front. It's like more like a hairpin warm front, actually. I just noticed that, Joe. You got a bit of a hairpin warm front here that is setting up. There's some cold air that's going to try and dam southward. So it does set up. A lot of times when you get these snow to rain situations with lows that go to our west, it's usually a narrow band of snow on the front end, This one seems to be a little bit wider, so it may buy a bit more time. And all the models, even the least bullish model of for snow, which in this particular instance is the European, even the European gives at least a couple of inches for New York City, Long Island, and along and north of Route 78 in New Jersey, and 3, 4 inches or more as you get up into the Hudson Valley and in Connecticut. Some of the other models actually have higher amounts and have also some amounts down into central and even in South Jersey, depending on which model you look at. But I've got my own ideas on this. But you see where the low, the warm front's going to try and push northward. How far north it gets is anyone's, that's how far north it gets is anyone's guess. Sometimes these things really struggle. There's freezing rain across Massachusetts, through much of the upper Hudson Valley and points north. And even those areas eventually go to rain Sunday morning. Also, Joe, it looks like this is slower in terms of getting that weather front through. Yesterday it looked like it might be done by the middle of the day, and maybe we start to dry out in the afternoon. And that may still be the case, but it looks like it's taking a little bit longer for the front to go by. And maybe we'll start to see improvement late Sunday afternoon. And yes, much colder coming in, much colder air coming in for Sunday night and Monday as the big Canadian high starts to build down, and we get into a very cold weather pattern for next week.
Yes, and that's what we mentioned. Get rid of whatever is on the ground at your house Saturday late or Sunday, because whatever you leave behind is just going to freeze solid, because it is going to turn sharply colder for the start of next week, right on through most of next week.
So here's my early cold snow forecast, Joe. So this is what I did. I drew the trace line from Tom's River to between Trenton and Philadelphia, to just south of Harrisburg. I got a 1 inch line from Sandy Hook to just south of Allentown, to maybe just south of Altoona. I drew a 2 inch line across Long Island, a little less on the South Shore, a little more on the North Shore. Put that 2 inch line right across New York City, and then right along Route 78 into Pennsylvania. The 3 inch line, coastal Rhode Island, and right through Long Island Sound, to White Plains and into northern New Jersey north of Route 80. And then I got a 4 inch line on the Westchester Putnam border and points north. You see how it cuts across Connecticut and then goes up into Northeast PA and beyond. And then I drew an area of 5 inches, Boston to Springfield, kind of nosing into Litchfield County in Connecticut before the 5 inch line turns northward up through Western Mass. Your thoughts, Mr. Rayo?
Well, I would have just drawn a general 2 to 4 inch area across much of the lower Hudson Valley, and a bit less as you head south from New York City. So I'm thinking again, a few inches of something. I'm not looking for snow coming down at the rate of 1 or 2 inches an hour. I think it's going to be more like a gentle snow on Saturday afternoon, a quarter to a half an inch per hour, before we start noticing enough milder air coming in to change things over from snow to sleet, and then eventually by midnight or shortly thereafter, it'll all go even up north to just plain rain, and then there you go. Now you're right though, Joe, because did you draw that 5 inch nose in accordance to what you were talking about a few moments ago, cold air damming?
Yeah, yeah,
The shape of the cold air trying to
yeah.
nose
And you
down, sort
notice
of.
I have there's like this gentle curve when you get down further south. There's like a little curving there in the yeah, that to me, it's a reflection of the colder air trying to dam in a bit, which
And
might
cold
be more
air,
important for New England than it will be for areas to the south.
right? And cold air is about as difficult to dislodge in certain situations. I mean, if we really had a thick blanket of snow across the Northeast, New England, or whatever, and then we had this setup coming up. It would be almost impossible, I think, to dislodge the cold air. As it is, there is a bit of a coating of snow on the ground in many places or whatever, which will help to maintain that cold air a little bit longer. But my goodness, you know what I'm talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
There have been cases in the past where the warm front kind of loops, if you will, and you'll see like Williamsport, Pennsylvania, with a temperature of 51,
Right.
and meantime the cold air is nosing on down, and Atlantic City is like 28. So that's like an extreme example, but you get the idea, you get the picture. If you get the cold air to nose on down the coast, meanwhile the warm air is surging up just off to the west, and you get that squeeze, so to speak, that big gradient of temperatures.
Can you, I have the share turned on. Since in that snow situation last weekend, we looked at, where we had all those big, moderate to S plus that broke out everywhere. I mean, that was a really impressive area of almost convective type snow that actually it came out of thunderstorms that were in Ohio, and they just held together on the radar. Maybe you could check the F gen again to see to show everybody. We've had a request for the F gen, Joe,
The FGN for this upcoming system
for
this weekend.
Saturday. For Saturday,
Oh,
yes.
okay, I will do that. If I can just get my Google Chrome, blah, 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 blah. And let's go to Northeast region here, and what I will do is we'll go. Sharing is not turned on.
Oh, I thought I turned it on. I thought I saw it was turned on. It says, oh, okay, my fault. I misread. Now it's turned on.
Okay, no problem. We will work. We will work through these little changes here. So you wanted to see the F Gen, so we have to go to 700 millibars. And as I said, what's interesting is that for the upcoming weekend, I didn't really see all that much in terms of F Gen or these contours. Now here, this is the 18Z. I did not look at the 18Z maps too closely or too carefully, but by the time we get to 18Z Friday, tomorrow, 1 o'clock, we do have some F Gen showing up over southern sections of Pennsylvania and Maryland, but then that's just as quickly bye bye. Well, actually, it does shift northward up into, but that doesn't make any difference because tomorrow it's going to be bright and sunny. I mean, the only thing this thing is probably going to cause maybe are a few patchy clouds, but that's about it. So we're interested in Saturday and Sunday, and you can see that on Saturday we do have a little bit of a band of FGen or Omega that moves very quickly through. Now, assuming that my timing is not too far off, 18Z Saturday, 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon, we should be seeing some snow in the immediate area. You have a little bit of FGen here in western New Jersey and north central Pennsylvania, but I mean, it's not anything really to write home about. And then we move on to 0Z, 7 o'clock in the evening, and you see that a lot of that FGen is gone. And the only real FGen that's occurring is up here over Lake Huron and just north of Lake Ontario. Let's see what happens if we continue to 1 a.m. on Sunday morning. Now here, we do have some FGen showing up in a band from northern New Jersey and then moving on out to sea, south and east of Long Island. So that may account for some kind of intensity. But then that quickly moves on out, actually seems to intensify way off to the north and east of New York. Now this is 12Z Sunday. We should be by that time into a rather rainy weather pattern or showery weather pattern. But again, not much to show you in terms of FGen. Down here over Virginia and western North Carolina, there is some energy that is showing up that could actually be the thunderstorms that SPC is talking about, the possibility for some severe weather down there. And you see some FGen now trying to reach up into south central Pennsylvania and also across northern sections of Virginia. So that may account for something. Still not much happening here in the immediate New York City metropolitan area. And by the time we get to, well, actually, you take a look at this here, south central Pennsylvania, for 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. And then when we jump to 7 o'clock in the evening, we have this area here over Cape Cod and over down East Maine. So maybe perhaps what you're seeing down here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday intensifies and rapidly races eastward across the tri-state area by 3, 4, or 5 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and that could be the last surge of rain and shower activity before everything moves off to the east. And look at this. This is a sign or a real shot of colder air that will be working its way toward us in time for Sunday night and on into Monday. In fact, you could see, look at the isobars here. This is the surge of cold air. Let's see, this is at 700 millibars. This is the minus 15 degree line at 700 millibars. That's about what, 6 or 7,000 feet, and you got minus 15 Celsius, and it continues to show very cold air. In fact, by the time we get to 1 o'clock on Monday afternoon, we got minus 21 at 700. So you can see the cold air is surging in and will be with us for not just Monday, but again, as I said, probably for a good part of next week.
Well,
And the
you
executive producer,
they're all going crazy. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. We're past 100 here.
100 likes. Thank you very much for those of you who hit the like button. All right, let's. I got the HRRR, so we might as well take a look at the HRRR. Hold on. Oh, back-to-back shows, Joe. I know you've done that multiple times when you do your talks.
Oh yeah,
I'm talked out. But this is the HRRR that actually takes us into Saturday evening. The one thing I did notice on this is, well, for one thing, the map doesn't want to move. Oh, let me see if I can reset this. There we go. So this is Saturday at 10 a.m. You see the blue across Pennsylvania and the lighter blue, and then you see some streaks of darker blue in western Pennsylvania. It looks like there's a little bit of an initial surge that comes in during Saturday afternoon. And I'm thinking that this stuff is probably going to be on the light side. In fact, it actually responds to that cold air. There's a high there that has it analyzed over in the St. Lawrence Valley on Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. And I think this initial surge hits some of that dry air, and you see the snow actually decrease on the front end. And then you get the southern moisture comes up, and then suddenly, by the time on the last frame is at 7 o'clock, you start to see the snow fill back in. So what falls, I'm thinking, Joe, during Saturday afternoon is probably going to be light, on the light side. And then maybe Saturday evening, as that precip really comes in from the south and gets into the cold air, that you'll set up for a short burst of moderate, or maybe even some patchy areas of S plus before it changes over. Now, we can't go any further than this. The NAM, I'm going to look at the 3 kilometer NAM. The old, we have to look at the old one because the new one just started. So that should take us through Saturday afternoon. So here it is. The NAM, the 3 kilometer NAM, you can see that the first surge of snow actually goes more in upstate New York. And then you get the darker blue snow that forms. This is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. And by 7 o'clock, from just south of Route 78 southward, it's all rain. Still all snow on Long Island, snow in the Hudson Valley and Connecticut. And then by, this is 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, finally it's rain, Long Island and much of New Jersey, little freezing rain to the north. And the NAM wants to push that warm front up rather quickly. And I don't know about that. That's oftentimes the models oftentimes want to show the warm front flying, and it winds up doing it winds up not doing that.
Yeah, and again, always difficult when you're factoring in the potential for cold air damming. And again, with that cold air damming, you have all the cold air you need down at the surface, but aloft, the warmer air is surging, and that's your problem if you like snow, because unfortunately that changes that snow right over to sleet and ice, and that then falls on top of whatever snow may have fallen. So you got two things to watch here on Saturday: the fact that the initially the air is going to be very cold and dry, and you may lose a little snow in the front end, and then just as things are starting to really rev up, it may rev up to the point where at the higher levels, the warm air is surging up and changes that precipitation over to sleet and ice, and so you end up with only a bit of snow, maybe only 2 or 3 inches, and not maybe 4 or 5. Hard to say. The event is still about what 30, 36, or 38 hours away, so we'll have certainly a better clue, a better handle tonight, and especially so on the day tomorrow. And of course, we will be here just as everything starts to fall into place, and just as things start revving up on Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m. Second consecutive 11 o'clock in the morning show on a Saturday that we're going to be doing. But that's all for your benefit out there, because we know that you're interested and you will be out there and getting all excited about the potential for some more wintry weather. Let's see how well we do this Saturday as opposed to last Saturday.
All right, now as far as the longer range is concerned, I could sit here and show you every model and every different solution imaginable. You've got the GFS from earlier today, which kind of brought a glancing area of snow with a deepening storm off the East Coast that runs out to the east. We've got the 18Z run, which was actually a little more suppressed to the south. And believe it or not, it actually gave me here in North Georgia uh, 3 to 4 inches as the low develops uh, off the off the Carolinas, and actually doesn't come anywhere close to New Jersey and southern New England. Becomes a big ocean storm as it goes on out. That's that. Then we can go to the Icon model, which earlier today, if you didn't see the icon had this, which was an absolute burial with a 979 low, heading for the 4070 benchmark. And I could go on and show you all different solutions from all different models, but there's no there's no clarity at this point as far as how this is all going to play out. We talked about this yesterday. We've got the big block that is developing. By the way, I was checking the teleconnections on the Arctic Oscillation, Joe. 5 standard deviations negative from the mean. Talk about being completely out of whack. We rarely see 5 standard deviations negative.
That's way off the chart, so to speak.
Yeah, it's off the chart. So when it's off the chart, when the atmosphere is off the charts, in fact, I'll just bring it up really quick. Because there is a lot of times what happens is with these teleconnections, when they get this extreme, I'll bring it up, and during next week when we look at some of these teleconnections, the NAO, for example, is actually going to be uh, slightly negative for next week, and then trending toward the neutral line. But the Arctic Oscillation, the AO, I mean, this is just God off the wall, all the way off the wall, and you could see the rapid ascent back to the neutral line that occurs after the 15th. I mean, it just shoots up rapidly. So that's telling you that there's a big pressure change going on in the atmosphere. So oftentimes when you see the teleconnections, it's at the point that you go from a deeply negative number to the neutral line is when you get a major storm to develop someplace. Doesn't necessarily have to be near you, near a location near you, but something has to happen in the atmosphere. The Pacific North America Index, or the PNA, which is if you're a snow lover, uh, being in a positive position is a good thing. It is going to be positive by not quite two standard deviations, but still there. All these puzzle pieces that were there yesterday are there again today. The problem is that there, with so much going on, the models don't seem to know how to handle all of the action in the upper air atmosphere, in the upper air from the Great Lakes to the Northeast. And part of the issue is a big blocking load that forms out between Newfoundland and Greenland. And where is that going to be in all of this? Because if it's too far out to the east, closer to Iceland, it's more than likely that the system will get suppressed to the south and east. But if that system is a little bit further to the west, it'll create a ridge in between the two, and that could make for something more interesting for the coast. I mean, there's not much else that I can add to this, Joe, from yesterday. I think the models are still in this place a week away, where they haven't quite figured out just exactly how the upper air is going to get handled in all of this. And maybe on Saturday we'll have a slightly a clear, excuse me, a slightly clearer view of how this is all going to play out.
Well, the fellows over at the Weather Prediction Center in the Long Range Division wrote in their discussion this afternoon, the highest uncertainty in this forecast coming up is on day 7. Day 7 is next Thursday. Is anybody interested in what may happen on next Thursday? Yeah, and that's where the highest uncertainty, as Joe has just been elucidating on, the highest uncertainty is next Thursday, day 7, when the evolution of low pressure over the southeast becomes less clear. Now, they've taken a GFS and European and the AIFS. I hate this sometimes. What they have different.
You mean the European APHIS?
The European dash AIFS,
Yeah,
is that the artificial intelligent one?
yeah, that's the AI. The AI has
Does
the
anybody
AI had a has a deep low just east of 40 and 70. So
I mean, does anybody still look at that? I mean, like I've watched. I when that first came on the and that was about a year ago that started coming up, and they going doing all sorts of crazy things. I said, they've got to work on this model to get it a little bit closer to the others. Anyway, the GFS, the European AIFS, most progressive with this system, while the regular European and the Canadian model, the CMC, are quite a bit slower. For the
right.
WPC forecast, ensemble means from the GFS and the European were added to the blend to result in a forecast falling somewhere in the middle of the very fast and the very slow solution.
Well, a lot of help that is.
And so I was going to say, so there you go, folks. I mean, they're just as confused. They're just as confused and just as conservative as we are to tell you what may happen late next week. So stay tuned.
All right. We're going to do two last things before we go. We're going to hold Briller Jeopardy for another day. WPC, because it's now in their range. This is the Wednesday into Thursday forecast that they have 10 to 30% into southern New England, and they have an elevated 30 to 50% chance in West Virginia, and into North Carolina. I mean, this is where it's wanted to snow. If you look at where the above normal snow anomalies are this year, they're in the mid-Atlantic and point south. So it sort of makes sense that they want to do this. Here's what the map looks like. Uh, there you go. Here it comes. Okay, so there you have it. That is WPC's long range on their day 7. So we got a ways to go yet into how this plays out. And then we also had the other thing I want to do is really quick. There is apparently a tropical cyclone in the South Pacific, and this is Tropical Cyclone Zelia for Australia. And top winds are 115 miles an hour, 938 millibars, and it's in Western Australia. We take a look. Here's the hurricane models, the three of them, as it goes inland into Western Australia. So it's just about to make landfall as a Category 3 hurricane. So there you have it.
And there you go. Yeah.
And on that note, we're gone. So we'll see you on Saturday at 11 o'clock. Maybe we'll cover the whatever we get from the front end snow for later Saturday afternoon into Saturday evening, and maybe we'll have a little bit more clarity about what could happen next week. So we'll see you on Saturday. Night night.
Happy Valentine's Day, folks.